Scholar IT Solutions is a balanced staffing company developed by a group of professionals with an experience of over 18+ years in staffing solutions. With years of quality and committed high-end application development and staffing experience, we have become experts at delivering the right fit, the first time. We will be glad to be your last stop and provide you with the perfect solution to your requirements. Follow Scholar IT Solutions LinkedIn page. For more updates, follow our social media pages.
Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Anurag Kumar Pandey, and I am database migration expert. So thank you. I would like to thank the Scholar IT for conducting this webinar, and I hope this webinar is very helpful to you all. So today I'm going to talk about database migration to cloud. So this is very important one right now, because most of us, we know how to migrate the database to cloud, and cloud is so hot cake kind of that. So today I will talk about more about Oracle database migration to cloud. So hope so once again, thank you. And this is the agenda of the today's session. So I will discuss how to migrate the database to cloud and why we need to migrate the database to cloud, right? This is very important. Why do we need to migration? And then I will discuss about Oracle database in cloud. So how the database looks like in the cloud. And further, I will discuss database migration life cycle. So what are the key points should we remember when we consider to migrate the database to cloud? So how the migration looks like when we have to plan the database migration to cloud. So definitely it is from on-premises to cloud. So I will give you more detail what are the things we have to take care, what are the phases. So I will discuss more in our database migration lifecycle. Further, I will discuss migration strategy. So here, like I will talk about what are the options are available, how we formulate our migration strategy in respective of database. So we have lots of key consideration when we are planning to like which approach is suitable for our database migration. So I will discuss more in detail when I come to migration strategies. And finally, I will deep dive with the lift and shift migration. So when we are planning to get rid from our on-premises database to cloud, so how we can do in very fast manner. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to just ping in chat, and I will take your questions when I move from one topic to another. So stay tuned. And before we start the session, just request you all, please ping in the chat who has done the database migration to cloud. So I'm happy to know, like, yes, we have the audience who has already done the database migration to cloud. And definitely I promise you will get it is from this session. It is very good, I would say, and definitely you will learn something from here today. So thank you, and let's get started. So the question is very important: why migrate database to cloud? Again, I discussed, and we have not only database. There are lots of things going to migration on the cloud. As we know, we have so many cloud vendors right now. Talk about AWS, Azure, Google, and Oracle. But when we talk about which is the toppest cloud, so there is a fight between AWS and Azure. But yes, Google is also like approaching so fast. So we can say, yes, we have the very huge cloud market when we talk about 5 years back and now. So most of the companies are more focused to move to cloud due to several reasons. So as you see, like database migration means we have to move our database from on-premises or one platform to another platform. So for example, if you are running your database on your on-premises and you want to migrate to cloud, we have so many options in cloud right now, as I told earlier. So why? This is the big questions, right? So there are few possible reasons I mentioned. Maybe we have other reasons as well. But the first reason is lack of hardware, compute, and resources. So why? So when we are running our database in cloud, in our on-premises, after certain time, maybe we have lack of resources. For example, which machine we purchased 5 years back, 3 years back, now those machines don't have the computational power features to increase the hardware in terms of CPUs, in terms of RAM. And again, when we are planning to upgrade our system or upgrade our infrastructure, again, it will be the cost more. So this would be the possible reason to clients or customer looking to migrate from on-premises to cloud to somehow using the new features, OS, or you can say technologies. Second possible reason would be limited database features. So for example, I'm going back. So earlier when we talk about database features, so we have the RDBMS. And now if we talk about in cloud, so most of the cloud are provided some databases. Those are cloud native databases. And those features are little different from whatever we are using in the RDBMS. So for example, if customer is say like using Oracle database, but certainly they are feel no, we have some other patterns, and my Oracle database is okay for OLTP transactions or kind of that, but it is not suitable for some other workload. So again, they are stuck with the current environment and they are looking forward to go to use some cloud native database. I will discuss, for example, DynamoDB, right? So this could be a reason, limited database feature. Third option would be move to cloud to reduce the current expenditure. This is the great for customers because they are not looking to invest much on the on-premises. That's the reason they want to move to cloud to save the cost, save the time. For example, let me give you a very quick example why the cost cutting should be happen. So for example, in on-premises, they invested everything and they have the production environment, they have the development environment, but let's suppose development environment is not available for 5 days or for 7 days because most of the developer only work Monday to Friday. So if they are investing in their on-premises, so Saturday, Sunday, if they are not using their environment, again, they are, you can say, wasting some money, wasting some resources. But when they move to cloud, they can stop their databases on the Saturday and Sunday, for example. So they can save some cost there. So this would be the possible reason to reduce the cost when they are planning to move to cloud. Finally, the last is not least, but move away from data centers. Some of the customer has some deadline because might be their data center is going to decommission, or they want to get rid from the data center. They want to move. Maybe there is some reason. This is depend on the customer, but they want to move away from the data center, so they can also plan to move to cloud. So as I mentioned, the 4 possible reasons, it is not a whole, but yes, definitely could be more other regions as well. But I am seeing like these are the 4 regions which make customers to decide to move to cloud. As we all know, moving data from one place to another place in terms of one platform to another platform, it is not very easy. It is typical when we talk about some banking customers, when we talk about some healthcare, when we talk about some telecom domain, because they are using the systems 24/7. And it is not easy to migrate your data from one platform to another platform. So for this, what we have to do, we have to plan a strategy for the migration. That will help to reduce the blockers as well as that emphasize the journey to the cloud. Okay, so Oracle database in cloud. So how, so as we all know here, Oracle database is the RDBMS developed by the Oracle company, and this is very popular database. So it is mixed load OLTP, OLAP, that is for banking domain as well as that is for data warehouse, and somehow some customers are using for mixed workload as well. So when we talk about the cloud, so we have 3 kind of services are available in the cloud when support the Oracle database. So the first one is the IaaS, that is called infrastructure as a service. Second one is the DevOps, and this is the emerging one. It comes into the path as well. But yes, now more of the cloud vendors are more focused on the database as a service because the database market is growing faster. And the third option is bare metal solutions. So bare metal solution is nothing. It is, you can say you can go to cloud and ask your whatever you are running in the on-premises, same compute resources you want from the cloud, they will provide us. So as you can see in the table I mentioned, so if we talk about the AWS, so we have the EC2 that is similar to VM. In Azure is also supported, in Google and Oracle. But when we talk about the database as a service, it is also comes into the PaaS, platform as a service. So in AWS, we have the Oracle RDS, but there is no other cloud vendor so far they are providing the Oracle as a service except Oracle. So in Oracle, we have the Oracle Autonomous Database. That is, you can say platform as a service. But in Azure and Google, there is no database service provided for Oracle. And bare metal solution, yes, all cloud vendors are providing the bare metal solution. So if you have such kind of requirement, you can check with the cloud vendors. They can help you to get the whatever the compute resources you are using your on-premises, you will get from the cloud. So before moving to next, anyone, do we have any questions? Karthik? Okay. So as I thank you. So as I told, right, so we have the three major options for in cloud, and so VM and EC2 moreover is similar when we talk about the AWS and Azure and Google and Oracle. So VM is nothing what so we can use as per our whatever our requirement. We can take a VM and we have the full control on the our resources. So let me focus a little bit, explain what is the IaaS and how it will help you when you decide. So in cloud, we have IaaS. Let's talk about the IaaS. So IaaS means you are leasing the car, right? So for example, if you want to, so when you have talked about the leasing the car, so you have to care about what is the color, what is the engine, what is the car model, that is you require. So this kind of similar feature when you consider the VM you will get. But when we talk about the database service and PaaS, it is like you are renting a car, right? So for example, you are going somewhere and you just you know the driving and you want to go somewhere, you have to just take a car on the rent. Don't worry about what is the car model, but yes, you want to the service. So in that case, it comes into the DBAS. And bare metal solution means you are own everything. So whenever you talk about something in the cloud, you have to know, yes, how much resources, similar to when we talk about. Okay, what is the question, please? Please unmute and say your question. Can't see it right now.
Hi, Karthik. If I'm not wrong, Karthik, right?
Yes, Anurag.
Okay. So can I know what is the difference? Like you said, like major options are available to support Oracle database, right? Like IaaS and DBAS. Bare metal, I understand. Like I wanted to understand what is the difference between infrastructure as a service and database as a service.
Yes. So so thank you. So infrastructure as a service means you are just so for example, I'm taking example of AWS. So when you planning to move your database to AWS, so you will get the virtual machine in the AWS, that is the EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. So in VM, you have to install your Oracle database. There is no restrictions, but only you have to pay the money for the VM resources. For example, you have 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM or 2 CPUs, you are purchasing the EC2 machine, right? So you have to install your own database and you are the responsible to manage your database. So that comes into the infrastructure as a service. That is EC2, or you can say virtual machine. This is the reference name you can say from the other cloud, but it is similar to when we talk about AWS, Azure and Google. So it is all comes into the IaaS. Can you see now? So we can say it's a VM. Okay. Coming on, hope it is clear to your doubt, right?
IaaS is clear. And
Okay, coming on the DBaaS. So DBaaS is a database service. So most of the cloud companies, what they are thinking, because right now Oracle is more proprietary from the Oracle Corporation, as we all know. But when we talk about the cloud, so some of the cloud, only the AWS is offering the service as a platform as a service, that is the database service in AWS, that is called Oracle RDS. So in Oracle RDS, what happens? So you are not going to install any database in terms of when we consider the ARs. They will provide you the by default install the database in their cloud, and you have to pay the money for the users, right? So you don't need to install the database. They are already provided like 11G, 19, 11G is not there, 12C, 19C. So you have to just go and purchase the service and you can start using the service. So based on the consumption, you have to pay to the AWS. And when we talk about Azure and Google, so there is no service for Oracle is available, not yet. Maybe in future they will introduce. And when we have talked about the Oracle Cloud, so yes, Oracle Autonomous Database is similar to Oracle is offering, where you can use for your workload. Hope it is clear to everyone.
Yes. One more question. So in that case, like let's say if I talk AWS RDS database or Oracle Autonomous Database, so if there is any kind of tuning or a performance or some sort of slowness, so is that something like Oracle will be doing, or do we have an access to do like that kind of tuning or issues, any kind of on database?
So, got it. So coming on the question. So when we talk about the ARs, right, when we hosted our Oracle database on the VM, so we have the full control. So we are not dominant from the cloud. We can use, we can log in into the database. We have the OS level access as well. So we can go and check what are the processes are running, or we are using some tools, for example, Oracle Enterprise Manager, Datadog, lots of monitoring tools are available, JABX, right? So we can use to monitor the database. So we have the full control. So when we talk about the ARs, yes, we have the all control. We can log in as a sys user and we can go into the sys. We can check what are the matrices, what are the queries are running behind it. We can do that. But when we talk about the DBaaS, database as service, and when we talk about Oracle RDS, so we have the limited control, right? We can't do, we don't have the OS level access in this case, because cloud vendors are offering the service, right? They are not going, you don't have any control on the OS side, but you have to work with the AWS customer support. Maybe if something is not very serious issue, so do you have to, AWS will reach out to Oracle as well in that case. But certainly I can see now AWS will solve your questions because they have most of the solutions here, because they have the control. But so in short, your answer, we have the limited control when we talk about the database service. For example, Oracle RDS, Oracle Autonomous, we have, because this is the Oracle product, so definitely Oracle will provide some more good tooling and everything. But when we talk about Oracle RDS, so we don't have the underlying OS access, right? So this is not a problem, but yeah, again, I told you earlier also. So it is depend on the use cases. So what kind of your workload, what kind of your business case, based on that you have to decide which database is suitable for which. So for example, if you are running your production workload and you are running your development workload, right? And those databases are not going to use on weekends. So you can use Oracle RDS, because in that case, it is the model pay as you go model, right? So whatever resources you are going to consume, you have to pay to AWS or Oracle. So if you are not going to use on the weekend, you can stop your database, you can set up some jobs, backend. So we have so many tools available. I'm not going to into that much detail, but yes, you can schedule something. Your database will be stopped on weekend automatically, and when your developers comes on Monday, you can start your database. So it is depend on the use cases, and again, we have certain limitations as well. So when we talk about database hosted on VM and database hosted on RDS service kind of, so you have to take a wisely decision before migrating to your database to VM or database as a service.
Yeah, this is a perfect answer actually. Yeah, the last question. So
yes,
the cost wise, like, does it makes any difference? Because autonomous database, I would say, like, we wouldn't have much control. But if it is easy for decision, we have more control, right? So the cost wise, like, it will make any big difference?
Yes, definitely. So cost-wise, what? So let me tell you one more better use case here. So when we talk about database service, as I told, right? So it is the pay-as-you-go model. So you don't have to pay when you are not using the database. But when we talk about the ARs, right? So in that case, you rented. I take example, right? You rented a car, kind of leasing a car. So you lease the VM from AWS, whether you are going to use, whether you are not going to use, you have to pay the money. Whatever the computational power you requested from the AWS, for example, AWS, Azure, Google, that is no issues on that because it is based on the resources. So for example, you are taking the VM 4 CPUs and 8 GB RAM. So you can install your Oracle 19c database there. So you have to pay the money for VM, right? Oracle licensing is separate. Whatever you have the license from Oracle, so there is a feature like bring your own license, so you can use it. Similar work for the PaaS as well, but yes, there are the certain conditions, so we have to check with the vendors when we deciding to on the licensing part, because Oracle licensing is a little complicated. It is not a very straightforward answer on it. But yes, so whenever we have to have such case, we have to decide and we have to validate, yes, what are the prerequisites from the licenses perspective, what are the licenses, so we can use our license to. But yes, bring your own license. It's supported by all clouds, so don't so no need to worry on that part.
Yep. Thank you so much. Yeah, this makes sense to me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions before I move to next topic?
Hello, Anurag, Bhushan here.
Yes,
So,
yes, Bhushan.
So EC2 also having a snapshot backup and RDS also. So RDS, I know that we can do the cross region migration using a snapshot. Like you can just give the rules permissions and we can restore in another region. EC2 and bare metal having that option to restore on a different region, cloning.
Yeah, sorry for interrupt here. So I have the questions in later slide. So hope you will get your answers. And if not, so we will. I will take your question at the end of the session. Hope it will work for
sure.
you.
Thank you.
Please note down your question. We will take your question in end of the session.
Yeah.
So this is more about Oracle database in cloud. So any question on this slide, anyone has, feel free to ask. Okay, so silence means we are good. Okay, so database migration life cycle. So whenever we are planning to migrate our database to cloud, so it is, I already told, right? Data migration from one platform to another platform, it is not very easy. So we have to consider, so this is the strategy we have to follow when we are trying to move our database from on-premises to cloud. So there are 4 phases when we consider the migration. The first phase is discovery and assessment. Second phase, cloud infrastructure build. Sometimes we can call landing zone as well. Third is the migration and integration, when we migrate our database, then integrate with our application. And the last is not least is the validation and optimization, where we validate our migrated database with the applications. If everything is fine, then we have to do some optimization. I will take it what we will do in each stage. So coming on the discovery and assessment, so this is heart of our migration, right? Migration strategy, migration assessment. So what we have to do in the discovery and assessment? So we have to focus on our database and current database key state. How much my database is ready to migrate to cloud, right? Understand the current database landscape. Maybe you can request some input from customers if you are working with the customers on it. Yes. What are the versions on your database? What is the OS platform? You can take the AWR report. You can understand the workload, what kind of operating system they are using. For example, they are running here their workload on the AIX or Solaris. And AIX and Solaris is not supported in, you can say, in cloud right now. So you have option for the Linux. So you have to understand with the customers, what is their current use case, how that database fitted in the cloud. So as I told, right, we have the multiple options. So here we have to decide, yes, this database need to migrate to VMs or EC2. This database need to migrate to AWS RDS. or Oracle Autonomous Database, depending on the cloud, which cloud you are going to migrate. So here, discovery and assessment is the important phase where we analyze the database landscape along with applications as well. So this session is more focused on the database, so I'm only going to focus on the database side. But yes, we have lots of things when we are coming on the discovery and assessment. We have to understand the downtime as well. For example, when you are planning for cutover, how much downtime you would have available. Based on that, we have to decide, yes, this database need to go with this approach, this database. I will discuss further in slide what are the approaches are available when we have to migrate the database. Moving to cloud infrastructure build. So what we have to do in this phase, we have to provision and configure the cloud resources VMs in cloud. So when we have done with the discovery and assessment, now we have to build the landing page where we have to create the similar infrastructure as the on-premises in the cloud. For example, we have to configure the VMs, we have configured the network. When we talk about AWS, we have to configure the VPC and so many things like what database should be in the private subnet, application should be on the public subnet. So we have to decide, we have to like design the landing zone. This is not a database part, but yes, we have to work with the cloud team. They will do this work in support of database. Then migration and integration. So once landing zone is ready, means you have provision your resources in your cloud, then you have to plan to migrate your database. So you can migrate your database, then you can integrate with your application. If so, it is you can say not only from database side, but yes, you have to work with application team. What is the way they are using to migrate their application? If their application is migrated, so you have to integrate with your database and just do the validation there. So the last phase is validation and optimization. So once your database is migrated, application is migrated, you are connect with your application team. They will test the performance and functionality, whatever they are working as a on-premises. The same features and performance should be in cloud. So here you have to do the validation, like unit test, whatever from the application side, you have to do that. And if there is any room for optimization, so for example, when you are planning for migration, you configure the big machine. That is after certain time when you come to the end, you feel no, this machine is less utilized. We have to resize this machine, because again, if you are provisioning the big machine, so you have to pay more. So for this case, you have to reduce the size of your machine. For example, you are running on the 12 CPUs, 50 GB RAM, and now you are, okay, no, we have to go with the 4 GB RAM, and 4 CPUs and 8 GB RAM is sufficient as per the current workload. So you can resize it. So the cloud is the more flexible in this case, scale in and scale out, right? So this is the feature of cloud. So this is in your hand. Whenever you feel your database or VM is less computational power, you can scale in and scale out. But this case is not available when we consider the on-premises, because here we have to think so much before, and we have to order the servers, whatever, if we are planning to increase the RAM, scale in and scale out, right? But in cloud, it is very easy, but certain prerequisites should be there. So those I will discuss later, I guess. But here I am focusing like 4 phases. So when we have to plan our database migration, so these are the 4 key phases we have to take in our mind to plan our migration. So any questions here before I move to next topic, database migration lifecycle?
No, Bhushan here. So bare metal having auto scaling option like EC2?
No. Bare metal solution, as I told, right? So that is totally different. So it is more control on you. You have to work with the cloud vendors, and you can ask the similar data like machine, right? So there is the option, but you have to check with the cloud vendor on it, bare metal. So you have to plan very wisely on the bare metal, because it is the upfront cost, right? So yeah, this is very wisely you have to decide when the bare metal, because this is again whatever, it is similar kind of a data center, but yes, it is on the cloud. You have the more control on the bare metal, right? So it is very vast topic. If I going to explain it, so it will not enough time right now, but yeah, we have. So I have also mentioned some links as well. So I will take your question so you can explore more on it.
Okay, sure.
So anyone has any question on this database migration lifecycle? Okay, if not, so I'm moving to migration strategy. So as I mentioned, so we have 4 phases, right? Migration, but yes, migration is strategy. So if you are running development, QA, prod, UAT, pre-prod, and there are some other environments as well, FAT and kind of that. So the question is, which migration strategy is suitable for which database? This is the question. And this answer you will get when you are doing the discovery and assessment. So we have the 7 strategies, 7 R's, right? The first is rehost, second, replatform, third, refactor, fourth, repurchase, fifth is relocate, retain, and retire. So these are the 7 R's. It is qualified by all clouds, and this is the possible would be the reason when we have to migrate anything from on-premises to cloud. So let's talk about rehosting. What do you mean by rehosting? So rehosting means nothing. It is simply lift and shift your workload from your on-premises to cloud without change in the OS, without change in the database. Means we have to just take it, the workload from your on-premises and migrate to cloud. So as I mentioned in the example, if we are running Oracle 19c as on-premises, so we are going to migrate to cloud Oracle 19c. There is no change. If we are using Linux, we have to use the Linux on the cloud. So this is the very simplest, not simplest, but when we talk about all 7 R's, in that context is the very simplest one. So rehosting means whatever we are running in the on-premises, we have to lift and shift to cloud as it is without any change. Talking about the replatform. So in the replatform, what we have to do, we have to migrate our database, but possible would be there is a version change. For example, if we are running with the 12c and we are going for 19c, so it is a migration plus upgrade. Again, if we are considered to migrate from Solaris to Linux, so we are going to change the platform. So this migration, this kind of database migration comes into the replatforming, and it is requires little attention because you are going to change platform, so you have to very wisely on it. And also replatforming means we are moving our database from on-premises to RDS or Oracle Autonomous. So we are changing the platform as well. Whether we are, for example, we are not going on the EC2, we are not going on the VM. We have to migrate our Oracle database to Oracle RDS, sorry, AWS RDS. So in that case, it is a replatforming. Means we have migrate our database and reshaping the platform as well, or we are changing the database version or OS version as well. So this kind of migration comes into the replatform. So as I mentioned the example, when we are planning to migrate from Oracle 12c to 19c or Oracle to AWS, Oracle RDS, migrate any database service. So in that case, it comes into the replatform. Coming on the refactor, so it is some little difficult because re-architecting means we are going to change the database engine. For example, we are running our workload on Oracle database, and now we are planning to move on the Postgres. So we are changing the database engine. It is comes into the refactor, re-architecting. So it is not limited only the database. It would be impact your application as well, because maybe there is some embedded SQLs also using in your application side. So that's the reason it is little higher in the complexity, right? So refactor is little complicated and it requires more validation, more time, but yes, we have the option. So whenever you are planning to change your database engine from Oracle to Postgres, Oracle to SQL Server, so definitely that kind of migration comes into the refactor. Or repurchase. So repurchase means, okay, so whatever you have right now, you are going to vanish, do the vanish things, and you are going to purchase something, a cloud native solution. So it is not for database, but certainly it will no service available for database as a SaaS model. But when you have the like complete database e-state migration, right? So in that case, for monitoring, so you can leverage some SaaS monitoring cloud native tools are available. For example, Datadog or some other JABX is also, I believe, there is available. So we can check what are the SaaS model monitoring are available. So you can stop your OEM if you are using your on-premises. You can go with your some third-party or SaaS-based model for the monitoring point of view. So it is a combination of both. You can say hybrid kind of migration. So that's the reason I mentioned, right? So we have to decide which kind of workload, which database, and you can say like right candidate for the migration type. Coming on the relocate. So in the relocate, for example, we are running our workload on the VMware, or so now most of the cloud vendors are providing you can do the relocation of your whole VM things in the cloud, right? Without purchasing the new hardware, other things. So if this kind of existing features you are using in your on-premises, so you can lift and shift, relocate your whole VMware infrastructure into the cloud. This is one of the options. Retain is another option where you are not able to migrate. Maybe there is some possible reason you are using some legacy code. Those are not compatible with the cloud, and maybe there is application compatibility issue. So you have to stay with your on-premises. But yes, after next time you can check what are the possible ways. Maybe if your application is not compatible right now, you want to re-architect as per the cloud native. So retain means that's the reason I mentioned is a revisit. So you have to retain with your on-premises. After some time, come back and check, okay, this application was not moved in the first phase. What is the alternative? So in that case, you have to revisit and check what is the alternative solution to migrate some legacy and compatibility issue code with your migration journey. Last and not least, the retire. Retire means you are no use. Just you have to decommission the database. So there will be the possible reason you are merging the database functions with some other database functions. So you don't want that environment and that application would be. So you can decommission it and there is no longer to use it, kind of end of life. So these are the possible 7 R's, and this is very important. I again repeating this. So whenever we have to plan to database migration, so we have to fit all the workload based on the analysis. That analysis comes from discovery and assessment to describe like, yes, this database comes into the re-platforming, this database recording the rehost. So depend on the use cases and depend on the requirements. So any question on this 7 R's? Anyone? Please. Please unmute and ask, because I'm unable to see the chat.
Yeah, hi Anurag, this is 𝐀𝐠𝐞𝐧𝐝𝐚.
Please at a time, one person at a time, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working as a cloud database admin, but as you said, like it's a database as a service, we have to manage a database as well, right? How you are saying autonomous is one more option, right? We are using only schema in the Oracle Cloud.
Okay, hello? So in Oracle Cloud, yes, I can hear you. So in Oracle Cloud, use the autonomous database. So definitely, so you have to use the database based on your use case, right? If your autonomous is the right and viable solution for your workload, you can go with the Oracle autonomous database. Otherwise, you can go with the VM. So there is no limitation.
Yeah, other than that, we have DBaaS as a service. Means it is like we are not selecting any choose the VM and all, but it is a DBaaS as a service. Just they are maintaining the logs and all OS level, but we have OS permission to do right everything. That's kind of what we call that DBaaS as a service.
But in DBaaS, I will check on it if you think like that. But I don't think we have the OS, right? If we have no OS access.
Right now, I'm working as a cloud Oracle database admin. Okay. We have autonomous database as well, and we have a DBAS as a service. That we are containing Oracle user password, even OS level. And we are we are not managing logs and all. File system things and all we are not managing. That is taken care by Oracle. But even setting down, bringing up, everything managed by Oracle DBS only.
Yes. So that's I mentioned, right? So you will not have the more control when we talk about the VM. So you have some less control. So you have to decide wisely, that I mentioned, right? So if your customer is okay, so you have to evaluate during your discovery and assessment which workload.
The point is in your option for DBAS, just don't mention autonomous. We have DBAS as a service. We have 𝐀𝐠𝐞𝐧𝐝 as a service. So there are multiple options.
Yes. In Oracle, we have multiple service. That I agree with you. But when we talk about the database service, this is a layman. It is not only for Oracle. It is applicable for all cloud. So database service, when we have provide any cloud vendor where we don't have the OS level access, that comes into the database service. It is not specific to Oracle. It is you can say common for all of cloud. That's the reason I mentioned as a DBAS. In Oracle, we have the DBAS is a separate
if you will
service.
go to your first or second slide, where you had that comparison chart. Okay, so there only autonomous was mentioned. All we are saying is there are 2-3 other options. Probably they need to, because Oracle is providing more flavors here. That's it.
Yes. So I did not mention everything because it is more about just Oracle. So we have the extras. Yes, I totally agree with you. Yes. So we can leverage when we talk about the Oracle. And I'm too honest, because in Oracle very less customer I see to migrate. But yes, now Oracle is also emerging, because most of the companies are get rid from Oracle to other database, as we talk about Postgres and AWS Aurora also, Aurora Postgres or Aurora MySQL Aurora, which is comes into the AWS. So yeah, definitely in Oracle, because Oracle is managing Oracle database, so they have other options as well. And I also see the customers are moving away from Exadata. So if I talk about my past experience recently, so one of the customer is looking to migrate from Exadata to AWS, right? So definitely we have the other options as well. And I also read in one blog, Oracle is also offering more on the Oracle side. That is, you can say, under development. Maybe you will heard some more good news on the Oracle side. They are, you can say, about to offer some other solutions on the Oracle database side. So Oracle is again also when we talk about the Oracle cloud, so we have different options for Oracle database runs into the Oracle cloud, because yes, they have superior, you can say, from the other cloud vendors. So totally agree with you here. So, but yeah, Oracle Autonomous, that's the reason I mentioned, because it is totally, you can relate the things when we are talking about the other vendors. That's the reason I mentioned Oracle Autonomous here. Hope it is okay for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's clear.
Hi Anurag. One question from my end.
Yes.
Again, I might think like you might answer this as your plan. So again, I'm working in a bank. Again, my company is still not migrating to cloud, like any kind of cloud. We are on Exadata platform. So if banks, particularly banks or healthcare, wants to migrate, so what kind of security, like AWS or Oracle or whatever the cloud is providing, like in case of migration, the databases who are related to bank or healthcare?
Yes. And this is very open question always. So security is a major concern when we talk about the banking domain or healthcare domain. So the security is not only from the cloud side, right? It is a shared responsibility when we talk about. So whenever we have certain kind of requirement, so we have to decide, like, yes, we are going, so in cloud, right, we have the public cloud as well, and there is a private cloud as well, right? Or if you want to go with the hybrid model as well. So when you have, for example, something you want to stay with your on premises, and something you can leverage the cloud where you are pull some things, for example, 75, 50, 25% kind of solution, right? So you want to something running on the cloud and something running on your on premises. But yes, security is the major flaw with the cloud as well. So you can decide go with the private cloud because where you have the full control. But security is again you can say shared responsibility. So we can most of the cloud vendor are compliance in terms of all security reasons. When we talk about the European region, right? So we have the GDPR compliance and SOC compliance. So every compliance are there. But again, when we choose to which cloud and which model is suitable for you, so you can check with your existing customer and what kind of your security. And if Azure or any cloud vendor is able to provide as per your requirement, then you can go with the any cloud. And if you talk about security point of view, so now cloud are so much intelligence and there are so many tools when we talk about the security. So definitely, but again, this is the question, it's valid question when we are planning such kind of migrate workload, which is so sensitive. So cloud would be, you can go with the private cloud and also more concern on the security, because security is not only the cloud hand, that is again in your side as well. So you have to follow all the policies, all the prerequisites. So it will be the secure for your workload. Hope I answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Venkat, I can tell you Venkat, yes. I'm adding one thing. So mostly bank will be purchased as a private cloud, which I see. Yes. It is if you're running on a Hexadata, they will buy the Hexa CS, because Oracle is actually not supporting to Hexadata after the X6. They are now X7 and X8. It is launching with the Hexa CS. It is a clouded customer.
Oh.
Yes, Hexa CS. Yeah.
And so their machine will be in your data center. So Access also have the cloud team with one GUI, and the also the on-premise team also access the GUI.
Oh, okay. So what's your name? I'm sorry, like I missed your name.
Bhushan.
Okay, thank you, Bhushan.
Okay. Yeah. And one more point I would like to add here, it is not only the private cloud, you can go with the hybrid as well, because hybrid will be more suitable for your whole infrastructure point of view, because maybe you want to something in your cloud and you want to something stay on your on-premises as well. So you can say mix kind of, so that's called the hybrid cloud model. That is again. And now companies are moving to multi-cloud model as well. Just I'm adding here because we are discussing the cloud model. So now companies are not going to stay with only one cloud. Something they want to, for example, their production is running on the Azure and they want to DR should be run in the AWS, or they want to DR run should be in Oracle cloud as well, or Google cloud as well. So now companies are more intelligent, you can say, and they are not going to think they can block with one single cloud. They can do multi-cloud option as well. So when we talk about the cloud, we have ample of possibilities, right? So we can take advantage and you can switch from one cloud to another as per you. Because when we talk about cloud, right, we have the microservices. I'm not going into that much detail, but yes, we have lots of new services. Which services you can, if you want to switch from within the cloud or different cloud, that will be helpful for you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Anurag, so, adding in a multi-cloud one thing, it like database in Oracle and application on AWS, like mostly the vendor like using this. Because
I don't agree with this because maybe you will face some performance issues, definitely. If your application is running on some other cloud and your database is running, but definitely it would be the solution, but not a possible solution.
Because AWS is whatever the EC2 and all this purchase, giving the models like template. So it is having a application capacity like 16 GB, 20, 32 GB like model. It is mostly application required a less memory as compared to the like a database is huge size or huge IO and all these things. So they are not moving a database like Oracle is having on premise, and they will application doing migrate on the AWS or something, because they have the possibility of that, because application not required that much hardware.
That is possibility, but the billing charges will be very much huge. See,
Yes.
AWS is giving whatever the data you're putting into the AWS, it's free of cost. But whenever you're fetching the data from outside, it costs more. So now when the database is outside, not in the their own cloud, it like IO will be very much high, right? So this will cost very much high burden to the application manager or owner, anyone. So that is very bad architect. What I can think.
Yes, that I mentioned, right? And it is not only cost. Adding one more point here, it would be the performance problem as well. Because if you are running your application on different cloud, definitely there will be some network connectivity, right? And again, it will cost more. So you have to check the egress and ingress cost. If your database or application is huge, as adding the same point, so it will be the cost more. And the reason you moving to cloud to reduce the cost. And again, if you are choosing different cloud for different things, so my advice is here, you have to keep your application and database in one cloud, because you will get viable performance and better control on your both sides, right?
For the DR concept, that is maybe the one solution, but to use a different cloud, that also will cost. But instead of depending upon one cloud, they can have that type of architecture.
Correct, definitely. So this is the solution for DR. You can leverage some different cloud.
Yeah, because it is the data also secure in different clouds.
Yes. So before moving to next topic, anyone have any question in migration strategy? If not, so I'm moving to deep dive with the lift and shift. So yes, so as I mentioned, right, lift and shift is the fastest migration approach when we talk about to migrate to cloud. So in this migration, we are not going to change anything in respective of database, in respective of OS. So there are two kind of tools are available when we have to plan this kind of migration. So there would be the database native solution, that native tools, and we have the cloud native tools as well. So let me talk about database native tool. So when we consider the Oracle database, so we have the data pump, RMAN, data guard, and Golden Gate. Here, Golden Gate is a licensed one, but if customer is using Golden Gate in their own premises, they can leverage for the migration. But it is depend on the use case, how much your database size, how much your downtime. So in certain thing you have to consider. Based on that, you can decide which tool is right solution for this database. For example, if you are migrate with minimal downtime, you can go with the data guard or Golden Gate. If you have less size in the database, you can go with the data pump, and RMAN is also suitable for that. So these are the four good options when you are planning to migrate your Oracle database to cloud. Moving to cloud native tools, so we have the Cloud Endure and AWS application migration service that's called the AWS MGN. This is again a lift and shift. It will replicate, for example, if you are running your database on some VMs, it will be the replicate your VM from on-premises to cloud, and with the lowest downtime, you can say. So Cloud Endure, again, it comes into the license, so you can check how much cost would be when you are planning to migrate. But this is the viable solution from the Cloud Endure. And we have the Azure Migrate. So if you are planning to migrate Azure, so Azure Migrate is similar as like migrating your VMs. As it is, whatever you are running, you can migrate your database or anything hosted on their VM to the cloud. So these are the two options when we are considering to migrate our Oracle database, when we consider the lift and shift as an option. So yes, I think I have come to end. So what we learned today, like we know, like yes, why we need to migrate our database, Oracle database in cloud, database migration lifecycle, that is the 4 phases, migration strategies, that are the 7 R's we discussed, and we also do the deep dive with the lift and shift approach. This is and these are yes.
I have a question here. Actually, can you please let me know like how data guard will help to migrate the database? I mean, how it will help, like how will configure that thing?
Yes, definitely. So, for example, I am using Oracle database and on-premises. So we can configure the DR in the cloud, and we set up the replication, right? Once our setup replication lag is 0, for example, we are in the sync, primary and standby. So we can stop our source database, and we can activate our standby database in cloud, and we can start using it.
Oh, okay. Like first we'll just create the data. I mean, the standby on the cloud server, and we'll just make a sync between the primary and standby. So once like it will complete, and then we'll just make it the primary one, right?
Yeah, kind of switch over. Yeah, switch over kind of. So you can stop your. So yeah, there is some plan for it. It is not like you have to do this. You have to coordinate with your application. You can coordinate from the database side as well. So it will require very less downtime, because I use for multiple customers, right? They are Arman. Golden Gate is also a good solution, but again, some customers are not okay with to purchase a license because it is highly expensive, I would say. So yes. So DataGuard I use for multiple customers. Arman Data Pump is very normal one, and I also use Cloud Endure and Azure Migrate when we talk about huge migration. Because if customer has 20, 30 databases or 50 databases, so we can use Cloud Endure when we talk about AWS, and we can use Azure Migrate when we talk about Azure. So you can use any solutions on it.
Okay, and when we are using the data pump and Arman, so we just simply take a backup from both these. This one, I mean Arman and data pump and tools, and we can just shift to the cloud and just restore from that, right?
Yes. It is the simplest one which we are doing as on premises. But yeah, like copying the backup and files, you have to check what kind of connectivity do you have from your on premises and cloud. Maybe you are using direct connect in terms of AWS, and if you are express route when in Azure, and if you are going to site to site VPN, so it is depend on your speed, right? So you can transfer your backup in Arman. You can use incremental backup approach as well. This is also a good solution. And definitely it will depend on the database size as well, right? So you can't, when we talk about 50 TB, 60 TB, Arman and data pump will be not a solution. And DataGuard, and DataGuard is also not a solution when we talk about we have to migrate from Solaris to Linux or AIS to Linux, right? In that case, you have to also decide when go with Golden Gate. So these are kind of questions, and which tool is right candidate for which database. That all information you have to collect your first initial phase, that called discovery and assessment. And I mentioned, right, this is the heart of your migration. So when you have to plan, you have to take all the inputs, take all the possible reasons, then you have to plan your migration wisely, because you can avoid some unforeseen issues which you can take care beforehand.
DataGuard scenarios which are not supported. I think there is limitation of same version should be their platform and database versions.
Could you repeat your question, please, again?
Yeah, suppose if you are migrating from on-premises to cloud, so that platform database platform like 19C or 12C, and Linux versions should match, right? Both.
That's the reason I mentioned, right? So lift and shift is the migration approach where you have to everything is the same. If there is no, you comes into the different migration. You will come in the replatforming, right? If you are so it is more about lift and shift here.
And so cloud is DMS or different to DMS?
No, it's different to DMS. DMS is also a good solution, but when we talk about Oracle to Oracle, so DMS will be cost more. That's the reason. But yeah, DMS could be the option. But DMS has some restrictions as well, so you can check if those are the things are okay with your DMS, because DMS will replicate over the log base, right? Whatever the data level. So you have to check if you are going with some data type and would be not supported by DMS. So this will be the challenge for you. But yeah, this is the option when you are consider some replatforming, I would say, not for lift and shift, because we have the better solution available, better than DMS when we consider the lift and shift. So lift and shift strictly, there is no change. That's the reason I mentioned, right? So if there is something change, that comes into the difference.
Actually, data pump we use different platform. Actually, we migrated recently, but data
Yes,
pump we use with this platform.
yes, definitely you can use data pump. You can use Arman convert as well. I'm not saying that, but this is a viable solution in the lift and shift perspective as well.
Arman will be used for cross-platform, and it is a use when the downtime is less. We can use the incremental cross-platform migration.
Yes, but here I am mentioning lift and shift, so I'm not. Yeah, we can use in the different migration method as well, but I'm just more stick on the lift and shift. So in later session I can explain other as well, but yeah, we can use these tools in the different way of migration as well. It is not limited to lift and shift, but this is more about database native and cloud native here I mentioned.
Yeah, Oracle is
Anurag,
also having a different tools.
Can we use cloud native for Oracle, or will it support?
Yes. Cloud native tools are available, but you can check from the license point of view, because it would be the costlier when you are considering to use some other tools. So if you are okay with the cloud native, so the first preference for the database native tools, and if not, so you can go with the cloud native. This is the suggestions I would say.
Anurag, one question. So again, if we are using a cloud native tools, like, right, so again, I mean, if we are using a database native tools, we have to check the compatibility matrix, like, okay, how good like it is going to migrate successfully without any kind of issue, any performance issue, everything we have to do it manually. Does cloud native tools helps, like, okay, kind of like we are doing an upgrade, like it will give some sort of issues, okay, this is the one you have to do, some recommendations. So does cloud native tools have advanced, I mean, a little bit more advantage, like we are using more, like, okay, in this way you have to any recommendations? Is that clear?
No. It is something. My screen is not visible to everyone. Anyone commenting?
Yeah, visible.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so someone is mentioning there is some other screen is showing. I don't know. Okay, so with the question which you asked, right? So cloud endure or cloud native tools, right? Again, so this is the phase of migration. Validation, testing, prerequisite, everything is common in both cases, right? So whenever you are planning for migration, you have to do everything. Prerequisite check with the compatibility. Compatibility would be the same because you are going, there is no change, but you have to do all the steps should be performed. That's called the best practice. And also you have to go with the validation, application testing, everything. So this is the common for both approach, right? So in Cloud Endure, what it will do, it just replicate your storage, whatever you have is your on-premises, and just share to your cloud, right? But again, you have to do the certain steps on the database side as well. You have to open your database, you have to check the change some entries as well. So let me take a live example, right? So if I using any tools for cloud migration, what are the prerequisites we have to do? We have to check from the application side, right? If their application are using any hard-coded entries, we have to figure out those details. Because when you migrate your database, right, here your IP will be changed. If they are using DNS, you have to change the entries at the DNS level as well, right? If they are using any hard-coded listener name, so you have to create, you have to create new listeners. Because if you are using the Cloud Endure and Azure Migrate, same thing will be replicated. So you have to do that check as well. Again, maybe there is some issues, for example, in the network level, you have to enable the port as well. What are the port of your database? So we have lots of things to do, right? It is not like we have just migrated. We have to do some pre-check. We have to do pre-migration check, post-migration check. So these are the runbook, you can say. So whenever you are planning for migration, you have to go with the staging first. For example, we can say testing. So you have to test first. If your testing and staging is working fine, then you have to plan for cutover. So what are the port you have to need to change? What are the things you have to change from your application side? What are the things you have to change from your, you can say, database level, for example, database link, right? What are the port? What are the other database? The dependency check. what are the other database are dependent your production workload, production database. So you have to check in that wide manner, right? It is not limited with database. You have to think very broad level. Yes, from the application perspective as well, from database perspective as well. Those are the things. Hope I answer your all like somehow questions.
Anurag, and do you know about that this tool JDM? I mean, zero downtime migration. It is also from the Oracle, right?
Yes. JDM is also. I did not use so far JDM because, but yeah, I heard it. This is a good tool. So from the Oracle. So again, I think it comes through some license as well. So I need to check on it. Yeah. So
because
you can
I
use
saw some videos of it, and it is showing like that with the help of like zero downtime, like we can just migrate from the on-premises to cloud as well. So I thought like it is also a good tool from the Oracle.
No.
So, but not sure about it properly.
No.
Yeah.
Let me answer it. So they are also using the data garden behind it, right? So I believe you can check what is the logic behind it. So they are using the similar approach. They are only supported with the same Indian format you can use. I believe JDM is only supported for same Indian format when you are planning to Linux or Windows to Windows. So this is the same thing. So if you have the data guard is option, right? Why you are going with the JDM? You can use the DR concept to avoid the license cost for the customer. Yes.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Anyone has any question? I think before end, I think I also
have asked. Anurag, I have one question. I asked in starting, like RDS is having a snapshot restoration in cross region.
Yes.
Like that option is not for bare metal, or it's there.
No.
Because
no. So
what you told, like bare metal is having like a similar setup, like a physical taken.
Yes. It is kind of VM, you can say. So you have your personal VM when we talk about the bare metal. Okay. So RDS snapshot is not available with other because that is totally database native. But there is the snapshot backup, VM level snapshot backup. That feature is available. But again, you have to do some more work when you have to restore your VM level snapshot to other environment. When you talk about cross region.
RDS is already there option because I restored that in cross region.
No, RDS is exactly. So RDS has the option. I am talking about when you are going to use similar RDS feature with VM. In that context, I am explaining. So RDS, definitely RDS has the option, right? That's the reason I mentioned. So RDS database comes with some other features as well. For example, backup. For example, you can have the cross region. You have the replica, that call, right? So those are the features are not available with the VM. So these are the things you have to decide when you have to plan to migrate which target database platform is suitable for you. That is the VM and that is the RDS. And again,
sorry. For the same thing, can we use Cloud Endure to migrate EC2 instance from one region to another region, right? Instead of
yes. You can use Cloud Endure to migrate from within the region, but it should be VM, not to. You can't migrate using Cloud Endure to EC2 to RDS. It is not available.
EC2 to RDS is not possible. From different region, is it possible?
Definitely, it is possible.
Yeah.
And one more point I would like to highlight here again. So if you don't know, there is the Azure Site Recovery DR solution, right? So when we talk about the Azure, so this is also the viable solution. You can use it. Whenever you have the cross-region replication, you have to use this feature. So ASR is also good thing available in the Azure cloud. That is the good option. Azure Site Recovery. That is called ASR.
Yes. Thank you.
So that
Anurag, I have one question. Yes, Anurag, I done a migration like a small database on RDS using the export import and using the DB link. We actually having EC2 instance, not a currently organization, but previous organization I had done that from EC2 to RDS. But it is a small database like 100 GB, 200 GB.
Yes.
I have not done the big databases like 3 TB or 4 TB on RDS. So you have done some experience. Can you share that? What is the method? Different than the transferring of the files using the packages. Like we are currently doing the transferring package from EC2 to on-premise to RDS server using the DBMS transfer package, and then we create a DB link in existing database and import it from remotely. So this is the method I use, but it's a big database. We need to migrate on the RDS. So any method is there, like different restoration or RMA?
No. So you can use the DMS, and DMS is the good one, I would say. So for example, let me take you the example here. So if you have the big database, right? So let me take a very specific to AWS. So in AWS, what you can do, you can do the initial load kind of thing. It is similar approach with the Golden Gate when we talk about the DMS. So once you have done with the initial, then you have to configure the data replication from your on-premises, right? Using the DMS. So in that perspective, you can reduce the downtime and you can do it. This is the easier. I migrated with the 6 TB of the database using DMS, and it is worked perfectly.
Okay.
You have done with full load or with some certain schemas level or table level?
No. So you have the option, right? So initially you have to do the full load with continuous replication. So you have to create multiple You have to create multiple tasks, right? So you can
you done it for a schema level? You done it for schema level or table level?
Schema level and table level both.
Both okay. In my environment, I have done one migration, which is 3 terabyte database. We tried with schema level also, but schema level also what AWS suggested now. If any issues are recurring, keep on recurring. To solve those issues, it will be very difficult to track for us also. So they suggested for us to do a table level migration.
Yes, definitely. So as I told, right? Yeah, please complete. Then I will.
If you do in such a way so that you can fix the issues quickly. Once you fix those particular tables, you can get a shorter downtime to migrate the other remaining smaller tables to migrate.
So coming on your question here, so whenever we have to plan such kind of migration, right? So we have to identifying the application level schema use, right? How, for example, in Oracle database, we have the 5 schemas. Out of the 5 schemas, 4 schemas contain only the data that is not going to change so much, right? So we have to plan as such kind of the schema level replication, and we can avoid some issues. But again, we will get some issues definitely. It is not a kind of without any issues you can do the migration. But yes, you can plan wisely. So you can extract the data based on the schema uses. Then you can plan your application task based which schema is less used. You can do that one in the different task. If you have some schemas which has some issues, you can go with the schema level and table level as well. So application validation is more required, because you have to validate the data and everything. So there are a lot of prerequisites as well, right? If you are using such kind of, so you have to disable some keys, and you have to, for a performance point of view, indexes. So there are list of you can say tasks which we need to take care whenever we do this kind of migration. But it is possible. Answer your question. Anyone has any question? Open for. Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Could you explain table level migration a little bit, high level steps?
So table level migration in DMS, you have to check, right? So I would say you have to validate what kind of application uses your table. Based on that, you have to configure in AWS DMS. We have the feature, right? So you can set up the replication level at the table level as well. And you can validate as well, right? In DMS, there is a feature available. You can check the count and everything. So you can validate as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so no need to worry on that part. It is it's easy process. But again, you have to take care some validation that is more required when we have to do this kind of migration. And if you have the enough downtime, so there is one more option is available if you heard it, AWS Snowball, right? So what you can do, you can take all the backups in your on-premises. You can request from AWS for AWS Snowball. They will ship the device like of storage. You can copy your backup there, and it depends on the AWS how fast they are. But yes, you can ship all the data in one place to a AWS data center, and you can restore it from there. So you can save the time to transferring your data, or if you have some network level issues, so you can avoid this. So it is kind of big bang migration. So whenever you can use. So I think for one customer, I use this Snowball device for their non-prod environment. For production, I configured DR for them. But for non-prod, we did the export import, and we can take in all the export from them, and then we can ship through the AWS Snowball. And that was good experience, I would say, with the AWS when we talk about the Snowball. And yeah, but yeah, definitely it is a good viable solution. But we have certain things we have to take care, because they have certain policies in your regions. So because data is key, right? So you have to think wisely and check with the cloud vendors whenever we have to think like for data movement from your on-premises to cloud. Any other questions?
Anurag, Bhushan here. So I actually heard about, like, I know that AWS is having auto scaling, Oracle. So Azure and Google is having same concept like auto scaling.
So auto scaling is the option is more similar for every cloud.
Okay,
so if you talk about AWS Azure, you have the auto scaling option available for all clouds. So
this
yeah,
auto scaling only for the EC2 instance, right? Not for any other, right?
No, for RDS is also available. So you
auto
can.
scaling is in the storage wise, you're saying, right? Storage wise, auto scaling is enabled, but
no. So yeah,
instance
please complete your question.
Instance type, do we have such type of thing in RDS?
So instance type there is no, but you can design such a pipeline.
Yeah, as per the load on the server and the RDS, we have to decide and we have to increase the RDS instance class.
Yes,
for
yes.
storage wise, we have that option in RDS, right?
Yes. But instance wise, you can also do it. That you can plan the AWS like Terraform, right? So there is the infrastructure as a code. So you have to write your logic, and based on the certain events, you can do the infrastructure rebuild based on your requirement. So where you can mention.
When we are upgrading the RDS instance, we'll have like a short downtime, right? In middle.
Downtime will be there definitely. So again, I'm coming on the two questions here. Downtime. So whenever you have the storage expanding, right? For example, you are running from the storage, so you want to add the storage. So within the instance limit, you will not require any downtime. But there is a certain cases. For example, if you are using medium instance in RDS, and your storage limit is 10 TB and you are using 10 TB there. So here you have to change the instance type, because there is no option available. So here you will require the downtime. So the answer of your question is storage scaling storage will be not require downtime till the instance limit. But when you breach the instance limit, so you want to change the CPU and RAM, so you have to change your what I would say instance type. In that case, you have to require your downtime and plan your things, activity. Hope it is clear.
Got it.
But upgrade downtime will be required the same. Like whatever you're running manually, it requires something 50 minutes, but RDS also required like 40 minutes to upgrade.
Yes, and I want to share, I was doing the upgrade from 19.1 to 19.3. So it was taking around 1 hour. The reason was that there is some glitch happen from the AWS side. So we open a request with the AWS and we figure out. So yes, definitely it will take time. So you can plan proper downtime, I would say, not going with some 1 hour and 2 hours. You can take some more in your buffer time to plan this kind of activity. Because if something goes wrong, So you are the responsible. So please take wisely with your production system. Non-prod is okay, but production, if you can finish earlier, that is more great. But still, if you are running some unforeseen issues, so in case you have to work with the AWS support, so for downtime perspective, you can plan business downtime, I would say. But yes, upgrade would be happen within 1 hour sometime, mostly within 1 hour. And we upgrade also. We did like 12C to 19C upgrade, and it was within the 45 minutes, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, recently I'm done migrate.
Backup before upgrade, after upgrade.
Sorry? Someone saying something?
For the upgrade purpose. Hello, am I audible?
Hello? Yes, audible.
Am I audible? So the upgrade is also taking, if you check the logs in a backend, like it having alert, it is taking a snap, then upgrade, and after the post upgrade also taking a snap. So if something happen mix up, we can restore the snap.
No. Yes, but question is your here answer is, so you can do the snapshot manually whenever you plan such kind of activity. I highly suggest this.
Yeah, manually, but also the AWS also taking. I am just telling you whatever
Yes,
I log see.
yes.
I am also taken
No.
a backup before the upgrade.
Yes. It is because whatever things you are doing in AWS, right, they will keep the backup. It is not for only RDS, it will applicable for your VM as well. But for better best practice, you have to take your manual backup before the activity. That would be because I'm doing same thing. So whenever we do such kind of upgrade or we can say patching as well. So we have to take the manual backup before, that is the snapshot. After that, we have to perform our activity. And also I would recommend highly, you can do with your testing first. Then you can plan for your production. So this is very easy. You can just take a backup, a snapshot, and you can restore the new machine, similar configuration in different region, I would say. Or if it's possible, you can spin up the same region and you can do the upgrade on that machine. After that, you can plan for the final cutover or final production workload.
Yeah, actually, I also upgrade 12 to 19C in RDS. So I want to share some experience.
Yes,
so please. Yeah, first actually before the upgrade, we will do the snapshot of the database. After that, first you need to check parameter group. You need to compare parameter because when you are going to upgrade your 12 to 19C, your parameter group also will be changed. So first you need to compare your parameter group and option group you need to create according to 19C. When your database is upgraded, you need to set new parameter group and option group also after upgrade.
Yes. So in certain cases, but in this is the important one. But in my case, what happened, we already created the 19C parameter group and option group. So whenever we do that, so we can attach it. But yes, whenever you are doing first time, so you have to consider this in mind. And more about the parameter as well. So custom parameter is required because whenever you spin up the 19C, it will be the default parameter group. Maybe you customize something, so you have to change something, right? So you have to create the default parameter. Again, right? Good point.
According to your application compatible parameter, you can change.
Yes. Good point. Anyone want to share?
Anurag, I have one question. Like EC2 or on-premise is having something bug or something. So we applying the patch.
Yes.
So we have the access to apply the patch on RDBMS, like software, and then will be database. But RDS, because I not applied patch on RDS, so how the strategy will be? Are you having any experience hitting the bug in RDS and the patch will be applied by Oracle or AWS, or how the strategy is there?
So they are releasing their patch. So subsequently, whenever the Oracle release the patch, right, they are release some versions there. For example, in 19C, you can see 19.1, 19.2 kind of that. So that version is available whenever you will get the notification as well. If you are, you can say, aligned with the AWS, so you will get the notification. There is the latest patch version is available, and it is also in AWS documentation as well. So they are mentioning you can do the same patch, they will upload it. It's kind of, you can say, you are doing same thing, like when you are similar as the upgrade. So you can do the changing. But for hitting bug, definitely I sharing my latest experience. I was doing 19.1 to 19.3 that I mentioned, right? So we were getting the issues from the AWS side. What happened? They are not going to change. There is one table, I forget the name of that table. So the data was the static and it was PGA. There was a PGA issue. So in the PGA, or whatever the user are connecting, they are reserving the memory and not releasing, I think. So we were getting so much performance issues on that database. So we open a ticket, we got the solution. There is a document in the Oracle support, and we shared this Oracle document with AWS support. And AWS support, I don't know what they did. After some time, they told us, okay, Anurag, you can restart your instance. So I asked him what you did. So he told, okay, Anurag, which document do you refer? We finalized, and this is a similar solution. So sometimes you have to open a ticket with AWS support. They will do it from their end because we don't have the OS level access, and we don't have the sys access as well in RDS. We have to log in with the admin user, right? So it is a limited, but AWS support will help on it if there is some workaround for any bug fixes. But again, it is depend on the AWS or Oracle.
Because the database is having their control, so the ticket will be raising by us to Oracle.
No. You can raise a request to AWS support. They will align themselves
so
with
AWS support will be having the AWS support will be raising ticket to Oracle, their partner, Oracle partner.
No. We don't know this process. We don't know. I don't know this process. But you can raise the ticket with the AWS, and they are solely responsible to resolving the issue because you are using their product. How they are managing with Oracle, we don't know. But you have to reach out to Oracle support. Sorry, AWS support. My bad.
AWS. Okay.
AWS. Yes, AWS.
Yeah.
Anyone
I not got of that experience to bug hit patch, so I'm just having experience. Just in future, I will have that work or something.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. So anyone?
Anurag, I have a interesting question. I mean, basically, right? So I works with Oracle a lot of times. If I have some sort of question or some sort of issue, right? In order to figure out, basically, it will take some time to assign to a proper engineer from Oracle. Usually, when I submit a service request, it will be going to the normal engineer and he will be asking n number of questions, and then it will be escalated a number of questions, right? So that kind of, basically, it will take some time to reach to the proper engineer or proper development team who are well known, right? So, but based on this approach which you are saying, right? Again, I'm not pretty sure whether it was a issue on a Oracle database level or whether it is on a hardware or Linux level. I don't know. In that case, like if I wanted to reach to AWS team, first we have to explain like to AWS team what is the issue. Again, if you are not able to explain, it will take a lot of time, right? Like there is third person between Oracle and us, like AWS. So it will take a number of days or weeks to resolve the issue. That kind of disturbances like we'll be having, right?
Yes. So you are considering to how happens in AWS, right?
Yes.
So in AWS, first the approach is similar. There is no other because you have to raise a request with you have to provide the details, and also there is in text box comments you can explain your problems. What is the issue and how you are what about the issues. After that, you have the option. So based on your support type, right? Premium support or whatever, right? So you have the option. So there is a chat box option. So you want to chat with the engineer who will be assigned on your work. So you can start the chat. You can explain him if they will communicate with you. So there is no issues like similar you are working on the Teams or chatting on the Slack side. So you can explain him. If they are able to solve your issue that time, that is, I think mostly it not happen. So what happens, they will take some time, they can check with their internal because again, they will have some documentation and even they have some specialties as well, right? So somebody will help you on it. Still, if your issue is not resolved, so they will suggest you can come on the Chime, I think in AWS, or they can suggest some Zoom link as well. So you can join there and they will be just call out their expertise, depend on the issues case, and they will try to solve it. And if solution is okay, so hope your issue will resolve. If not, so they will escalate it internally as well. So similar, the process would be the same, right? But depend on the issues, the more interactive, I would say. So you have the chat option, you have the call option as well. So depend on the kind of support, you can take the advantage of that. So it is no, you can say, what I would say, no kind of hassle, right? You are not feeling bored like, oh, I send a request, I did not get any response. No, you can talk with engineers, you can chat with engineers, what is my status, you can escalate it as well, right? So you, everything in your all hands.
Got it. Thanks.
Anyone has any question related to database migration or related to Oracle or any cloud?
How can we estimate proper downtime before upgrade?
So estimated downtime, as I suggest you, so if you upgrade in RDS, right?
Yes, upgrading or patching.
Yes.
Just
Yes,
what should be considered? Yeah.
So there are some best practices. So you can do the staging first, testing one. So you can take the snapshot, you can create the new similar instance, and you can do the upgrade there. You can create a run book, or you can create a issue tracker, issue registered, I would say. So you can mention what are the things you done for example, changing the parameter group, changing the option group, right? How, when you start the upgrade, you can measure the time, and when the upgrade has been done. So once you have those kind of details, based on this current time tracker, you can add 30 minutes or 40 minutes, depend on the environment complexity, and you can take a downtime and you can proceed with your production, ideally. And exception is always there. So you can also, when you send an email to your customer, you can mark it if something is which is not in our hand control. So this would be downtime, but ideally this is the tested. And so you can start with the development first. Not I'm saying to you go with the production. If you are using the same database and same version in your development, you can start with your lower environment first. You can see what kind of issues you are facing. And once you are down the line 15 days or 1 week with the application team, everything is work fine, then you can plan wisely with the production one.
Anurag, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Anurag, this, like, see, do you monitoring any of your RDS through OEM?
For OEM, no. I think most of the customers, they are going with the cloud watch, and this kind of, and they are using some data card, yeah, performance insight. So those are the things are pretty much enough when we talk about the RDS. Because for RDS, again, you are using OEM, you have to pay more licenses, I believe. But you can configure it. I did not check, so but might be there will be the option, because OEM is also added so many features nowadays.
Yeah, I had little. Why means we are facing some issues with the CloudWatch alerts, like availability alerts is there, right? Those things are not coming up that much perfectly. If sometimes having some issue with them, if the RD is going to restart automatically, this CloudWatch alert will what happen now? If you keep you can't you won't get the for RD's availability, right?
No, so definitely. So if this kind of issues is happen, right? So you can configure your own script as well, for example, right? And yes, and also you can raise a request with AWS support, and you can ask for the reason. I think they will provide the RC as well. So you have everything in your plate, right? So if something goes wrong with your RDS instance, you can raise a request with AWS support, ask the RCA. Also, for not happening again, or if you want to, so you can create some custom alert as well. So we have so many script options available, right? So you can configure it to avoid this kind of issues, because monitoring is the 80% of your environment. If your monitoring is okay, you can whatever I would say.
Okay, I have one more question. I think I don't know whether anyone of you have experienced or not. I think we have RDS snapshot, automatic snapshots enabled, right? Like, is there any possibility to get an alert for not successful backups. For successful backups, if you enable events, for those you will get, but your mailbox will be filled up if you have many 100, 200 RDS you have. So to avoid that that many mails for in your inbox, do you have any option to get for failure snapshot?
Yes, definitely we have the option and we configure it. So you can use the SNS notification service.
SNS,
so,
but see, no. See, if you see in RDS events, you will find for every availability. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. Actually, you will get alerts for every successful backups, for any parameter group changes, for any optional group changes. You will get an event, right? Like that. For every RDS snapshots also, you will get event, automatic events. But I'm saying for unsuccessful backup, unsuccessful automatic snapshots.
Yes. So there is the you can say flag, right? Whenever your snapshot is okay, that should be the available state, correct?
Okay.
If you can track that status, it is very easy. You can go with the AWS cloud formation. There is some option is available, so you can track the status. If your status is not available, you can configure the email. So it is, for example, you can one back before. So for yesterday, you can create some job, and you can track the changes. If your snapshot is not in available state, you will receive the email. That is a very simple one. I did it in my environment. So we are tracking because whenever you are making successful everything and configure the email, you will flow your inbox. You will get, so you can avoid this kind of issues, make it when things are not going good. And you can custom it and you can use this feature. So it is not only AWS, it is okay for Azure as well, because we are using Azure as well. So you have all the options are available. Hope I answered your question.
You answered, but I may contact you for any little help on this if you are okay.
Yes, definitely. So this is the mention, right? So we have the forum and everything. So you can mention your questions and you can reach out. The details is also there. So if anyone has any question.
Why I'm saying now, like we have SOX audits will be happen, right? If you don't have any proper snapshot for some days from the AWS, they will question why is this happening. So before answering them, if we have proper information, that will help us. Right? That's why I'm asking. Thanks, Anurag, for that information.
Okay. So anyone has any other question? By the way, it was really nice session for me as well. But again, I will happy. Yes, please.
Let's say my database is running in OCI cloud, and we are using IaaS model. And if we want to upgrade our database, so we have to choose only manual option, right? Is there any automated process like some other? Is there any option to upgrade? Yeah.
So please correct me if my not correct understanding. So you want to upgrade your database on premises, on premises in the IaaS with the automatic tool for upgrade. It is correct?
It's not on premises. It's a OCI cloud databases which is running in VM. Bare metal databases. We want to upgrade our database from 12C to 19C or whatever version. So we have to choose only manual process, right?
No. So there is the option. Yes. So I'm coming on your question. So you can use the Ansible scripting YAML language. So we are testing it, but you have to create everything, right? So you can leverage this Ansible thing to automate your upgrade process. But again, testing would be required, but you can automate it. Ansible is the better and viable solution for you, and we are using it.
Okay. So right now there is a only manual process, right?
No. Manual is okay, but you can use Ansible for do the automation. You can do that because whatever things you are doing, it can be automated. Anything. So, but it requires in the market we have certain tools. For example, Ansible, also, or if you are going for the infrastructure level, we have Terraform, we have, when we talk about Azure, so we have the ARM template. When we talk about AWS, we have the CloudFormation. So there are tons of technologies are available we can use as per our requirement. So as answer your question, you can use Ansible to create the workflow, or you can say for upgrading, and you can do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other question? Okay, silence means we are done. So thank you, everyone. If we have no questions, and you can reach out to the details as mentioned for any questions and any clarifications if you want. So I will happy to help you on your all questions and all queries. Thank you, and yeah, that's it from my side, and hope you like this session. Please provide the feedback, because feedback is again very important, and also provide suggestions how we can do the better, or I will come up with the next hot topic in sometime, after some time. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Anurag. It was a good session.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Please provide feedback and suggestions if you have anyone has, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
It will help us to grow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your all time, because yes, thank you.